It's that time again, Monday Night Live and episode 11 coming to you from Chennai and, of course, different parts of England. As you can see, James Buttler is the hot guest today and Nikhil Popat. First and foremost, welcome to you, Nikhil. How are you this Monday evening?
Yeah, just catching up the Netherlands, trying to make a game of it. But otherwise, the World Cup fever is on. Let's hear more from James.
Yeah, for sure. Now, James, of course, has been a part of cricket.com before. James, for the people who don't know, can you just give us a warm introduction, please?
Well, it's good to be back. I'm James Buttler, cricket journalist, broadcaster, based in England, English, hoping England win the World Cup and defend the World Cup. And you can catch me also on the Cricket Badger podcast.
Absolutely. Now, I just want to ask James how things are back home, because normally there will be a buzz about any sporting competition in the UK, but more so with England being defending champions. Are people taking that defeat well? Early days, I'm guessing.
I mean, the beauty of this tournament is that with 10 teams, 9 matches, you get a chance to recover from an early defeat. But it was a very disappointing performance from England. I think in all aspects of that game, they were outplayed by New Zealand. If you watch the recent England-New Zealand series in England at the end of the English summer, England won by a large margin, New Zealand won by a large margin. There was never a tight game. It was New Zealand's turn, it seemed to be, in the first match of this Cricket World Cup, which was a shame for England. But it's a little bit concerning that there's not too many batters in tremendous form for England. They haven't played a lot of ODI cricket. Last time in 2019, when they went into the World Cup in England, Owen Morgan had a blueprint. They stuck to it. Everybody considered them to be the favourites, and they went on to win the tournament. This time, I'm not so convinced, but fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed indeed. I've never seen that kind of cricket being displayed by New Zealand so clinically in that first game, and they're doing the job against Netherlands as well, and makes me think and show off my New Zealand jersey that I bought. James won't be too proud of it, but look, I mean, it's a World Cup flavor, like Nikhil said, and there's lots to talk about, including KL Rahul last night, Markram and his World Cup record-breaking ton, and of course, a little man called Rachin Ravindra as well. Now, the distraction, as you can see on our screen, is Akshay Kumaraswamy, because he's just been absolutely messy right now starting the show. Akshay, can you hear us? And can you unmute yourself, please?
I can hear you guys, and I hope you guys can also hear me. It's been absolute chaos here. And looking forward to the games, looking forward to everything right now. Just sort of a bit, I wouldn't say overwhelmed, but just a bit shocked or surprised by the turn of events in the last 10 minutes inside the room. That's it.
Okay, I just want to start off this Monday Night Live with Nikhil, Akshay and James and asking them what's really caught their eye in the last week. The first round of games are done and dusted. Of course, James just hinted upon the England defeat. We'll, of course, pick the bones about that. But Nikhil, what else caught your eye? India, Australia was fascinating. There have been some good high-scoring games. South Africa, Sri Lanka come to mind. What stuck out for you the most, Nikhil?
Yeah, of course, there is the Markram ton. But I just felt from the cricketing point of view, I felt how teams are going to bat first in this tournament, because I felt in every game the teams have batted first. They've had to encounter tougher conditions, and at times batting has gotten easier in the second half. But so to speak, on the flat deck, South Africa made merry. But yesterday's game could have gone anywhere had that catch been taken. So that is something that I'm very keen to see, because I'll go back to the point I mentioned in the previous MNLs, that a lot of these players who are playing this World Cup, they haven't been playing a lot of ODIs. They've played a lot of T20 cricket preparing for 2 T20 World Cups. So it takes time for units as well to gel together in terms of their ODI plans. And that's where I'm looking at, okay, because like if you go by the first game, you felt England had a decent chance, even if they were 40-50 short. The way New Zealand chased down, you felt even if they had 100 more, it could have been a cakewalk for Chin and Conway. So then, how do you bat first? So that is something that I'm very keen to see. Australia helped India yesterday by batting first. So I hope many teams help each other out that way as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the trend will be going forward in the tournament. James, let me come to you next, because England-New Zealand was, of course, going to be dubbed as that repeat of the 2019 final. Is it worrying signs for England straight away, because their bowling really looked toothless, if I could say so?
I mean, just to go back to your previous question to Nikhil, I think one of the beauties of having it in India is that it's a vast country and the pitches are all a little bit different. They've all got their own unique kind of aspects. So you can rock up at one ground and expect to score 400. You can rock up another one and expect 180 plays 175 or something. And I thought the beauty of that Australia-India game yesterday was that the low-scoring games are often more fascinating than the really high-scoring games when you have to really kind of grind it out. Virat Kohli and KL Rahul really had to show some patience at the start, and they kind of, we had to work for that victory. I thought that was fascinating. Australia were more than in it, weren't they, at the start of that innings? But Virat Kohli and KL Rahul showed all of their experience. But I think from an England perspective, it is concerning. I think they haven't played enough ODI cricket. Effectively, it's 2.5 T20s, and you can't really go in to an ODI with that mindset. You need to show a little bit more patience. And England have made their name in ODI cricket by being, teeing off from the start effectively and going for it all the way through the 50. And I'm a bit concerned that their batting maybe isn't quite strong enough as well. You mentioned the bowling. I think the pitch did change in that first match. I think it was far easier to bat second dig. And a lot of these local variations will probably kind of play out, and captains become a little bit more aware of where it's best to bat first and bat second as we go through the World Cup. But in terms of England's performance, it was a 2 or 3 out of 10. They've played a lot better than that in the last 4 or 5 years. And the game against Bangladesh tomorrow is a real test of where England are, because how do they bounce back? Hopefully from an England's perspective, this is the wake-up call they need, and they'll come back into the second match and show what they can really do. Bangladesh are more than capable of providing some trouble for England tomorrow.
Yeah, they themselves picked up the points against Afghanistan in Dharamshala, which is another venue that we'll definitely talk about in the course of the show. But Akshay, you concur with James. It's almost like low-scoring thrillers is a great advertisement for the format.
Definitely, and this is something I've also, this is a stance I've maintained even during the IPL. I'm a sucker for low scoring thrillers to an extent where I wouldn't mind saying that I prefer low scoring thrillers over the 4s and 6s and all of that jazz. So yeah, I'm all for it. Even yesterday's game, the way I was actually looking forward to how Kohli and KL sort of build the innings back after being 2 for 3 and all of that. So yeah, 100%. Always good to see that happen in ODI cricket. And to be honest, that's the only thing that's even keeping me interested in ODI cricket. But I really don't know what is that. What's the hook for me? It's hard. It's really hard for me to look for something there.
Yeah, you sound like a player right now, Akshay. You sound like a player playing.
Indeed. Guys, I just want to ask you guys, of course, in terms of the fixtures to look ahead. But before we go, that will always entertain comments on this show. Cricket.com going on to say, sorry, MNL won't be able to join today. Have to cover the PKL auction for the only running Kabaddi podcast on Spotify by me, and can't miss this T10 draft because I love watching drafts. Don't worry about it. You can catch it sometime. Santosh Shurappa, we saw you outside the stadium. He asked, is Akshay and Abdi from different rooms in the same house? No, same hotel, different rooms. You got that right nearly. And Sanjay going on to say, ticketing fiasco has been the biggest talking point. Next, does he make sense there? Because essentially, you and Gurkirat spoke about it in the England-New Zealand game. I know it's a 120,000 stadium, Ahmedabad, but the attendance was 40,000, 40-odd thousand or something. Just throw some light in that and how that's honestly gained some headlines.
Yeah, see, we've discussed this at length. The problem is when you're looking to cater to too many people who are not at the top of your priority. Fans are not the top of your priority. If you're releasing tickets hours prior to the game, you are just taking the fans for a ride, which they have been taken for since a while now. So I don't know. It feels the more there is nothing to defend or even speak on that matter because it's just there out in the middle. There is nothing being done to even show that it's like okay, we messed up. They are not going to tell that. So I just hope going forward, maybe the fans are taken. Their fans are at the center stage, that people are able to plan their travel. People are able to plan this spectacle. And again, I think it comes down to growing a sporting culture in India in terms of putting fans at the forefront. You have the number of all the power that you have on the table is because of the fans. So I know they take it for granted. They know that even if they don't do anything, people will watch it. So I don't know. Maybe someday cricketing gods will have some justice to just take care of that. But everything else, you talk about the schedule, you talk about the outfield issue that's there in Dharamshala. All of these things are controllables, but they haven't been done so.
No, indeed. And Pranavanand jumping onto that is how can you decide which fiesta is biggest? We have one every day almost now. Better discuss this after the World Cup. James, I mean, from an English perspective, you think India is automatically the heartbeat of the world game right now, and rightly so. But how do they kind of resuscitate ODI, especially in a country like ours?
I think just go back to the tickets and the grounds and what have you. It's a talking point in this country. Turning on the first game of the World Cup, seeing England, New Zealand in front of what looked like an empty stadium. And obviously, you can have 30,000 people in that stadium and it looks quite empty. But that maybe makes that the wrong choice of stadium for the first match, doesn't it? Or you play India there and give tickets away free so you can really stack it to the rafters and get a fantastic atmosphere. So I think India, the BCCI did make a mistake with that. The crowds haven't been fantastic all the way through so far. Maybe India, Pakistan might buck the trend with that, but it's a shame because it's the Cricket World Cup, and I'd prefer to see tickets sold cheaper and have lots of people in the grounds, get school kids in for nothing, or whatever you want to do to actually get the game really buzzing, because the TV rights will sell themselves. The people will watch the TV anyway. So let's get some people in the ground and actually make it look like a real a festival of cricket. Because at the moment, I don't think it's quite got there yet. The games have been great, but the off-field stuff hasn't been quite so good.
Yeah, I mean, the whole motto of this World Cup, and it's branded all over every stadium right now, which is, of course, Akshay, it takes one day. That's what the ICC have gone with the messaging. And it makes you think about some of the fans we encountered outside the Chepauk Stadium in Chennai yesterday, right? I mean, they had tickets, but knowing that Australia are batting first, they were like, you know what, we'd rather do away with the heat. We'd go for the evening second innings to see the India run chase. And they spent, what, 5.5 Indian grand to, of course, get those tickets. So it makes you think about the modern fans as well and how they're approaching 100 over game. Okay.
Definitely. I mean, attention spans have dwindled. People prefer... You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, boy.
Go ahead. You're good.
You're good. So I was just saying, yeah. Attention spans have dwindled and people prefer the shortest form of the game. And just to add to what James was saying before I continue, unfortunately, Logic and BCCI in general haven't gone hand in hand. So it doesn't, I mean, as much as we understand what makes sense, that's rarely been the case with BCCI. And in terms of what fans prefer, Avnish and I, in fact, we encountered two sets of fans. One set who were at the stadium looking for tickets, and the other set who was sitting in the hotel watching the game live on TV, saying that we'll go for the game in the second innings. So it's really hard. I mean, there's no black or white here. Maybe the older generation is still stuck in that era. They still prefer the tests and the ODIs. They still prefer, batters grinding it out and all of that. But this gen, maybe youngsters, people like me for that matter, just to be clear that I'm younger than Avnish here. So yeah, had to bring that out there, put that out there. Yeah, we just don't prefer the longer formats of the game. And to be honest, as much as I love cricket, sorry James, yeah.
I was just going to say I agree with you. I am older than you, and I love Test cricket. I love the red ball stuff. I love a batter grinding it out across a day in Test cricket. I just think ODIs are too long these days, and I mean you'd never get that in England. You'd never get somebody kind of going for half a game in England. But that's the different mentalities of different cricket fans around the world, isn't it? But I find ODIs too long. It's a big investment of your time to watch an ODI from start to finish. And I think we will get to a stage where we probably play a World Cup once every 4 years and we play T20s and Test matches as the two main formats of the game and have a World Cup every now and again, but which would be a shame. I mean, I'd be in favour of cutting ODIs to 40 overs and taking out, there's a lot of middle overs in an ODI where you go through the power play, then you try and steady the ship and kind of just build. You kind of slowly building a foundation for a push over the last 20 or 15 overs, depending on how many wickets are left. And whereas with the 40 over, that middle bit is less, isn't it? And I think it would be more entertaining as a result of that. But we'll see what they do.
Okay, this 22-year-old in the comments, aka Neural Hacks with Vasant, Akshay, sorry, let me just cut you off. Then I'll bring Nix and I'll come back to you. Goes on to say this, that he loves Test more than ODI and ODI more than T20, worried if a T10 Cup might come through. I mean, Nix, generally all four of us, I think it's safe to say we're cricket romantics. We love Test cricket. That's the pinnacle. And we love watching those passages of play. T20, because the influx of the games and the IPL, of course, always catches eyeballs. But how do we really, goes back to my first question, improve the game? James just suggested 40 overs. Any other sort of tweaks you'd make to the 50-over format?
So I'll just say it survived so long for a reason. Let's just not fix something that's not broken. The thing that was broken was the balls. They changed it to 2 balls, and that's made the middle overs boring. Now there were a lot of people liked the ODIs because it was the balance between tests and say the shorter formats. That okay, you see a bit of test cricket like the game yesterday. You had a 2 for 3, which was reminiscent of a test match kind of spell very early on. But then you had a partnership. That partnership was not going to be possible if this was a T20, because you would go down, walk down the wicket, look into high corner or mid wicket and get a top edge, which Virat didn't try. But just saying in that just to get it out. So I feel just get different facets of play and have sporting wickets. And also for bilaterals, there just has to be more context. If you don't want to have those contexts, play quadrilaterals or try series. Get 3 teams together. If you tell Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Bangladesh to play, there are going to be hundred of people who are going to banter along differently online, but there will be a lot more at stake. So, and that's what worked in the past. You saw those championship series being played. Whichever series that got the ODI is one of those glory years. It was these kind of the CB series. Why do you remember the CB series? Virat Kohli versus Sri Lanka, how about you remember because there was something at stake. So I think a lot of ODI cricket at times has just been played for the sake of it, and because there is no reverse swing, you kind of know. See, all of us watch sport because we want it to be unpredictable. The moment sport gets predictable, you are kind of, oh, now I know what they'll do for the next 10 to 10, 15 hours. But then if you have reverse swing, if you suddenly have the ball moving or doing a bit, or there is spin, there will be something that the batters have to do at all point of time, which will make it interesting in any which ways. Now, the reason why James also said low scoring ODIs, because in low scoring ODIs, you know there is nothing else to do. There is very limited time for you to score if you're chasing, or very limited time for you to bowl people out. So there is something happening every time you are focused. If it's a 350, you can still take your time. 10 overs, 60 for 0. 20 overs, okay, 120 for 1. You know the crescendo is only going to come towards the end. So it kind of makes it predictable. So I just hope they sort the balls out so that you can get some kind of reversing. If not that, just have sporting decks and have try series or 4 5 teams playing together. That will do the job, in my opinion. Because I love
Mm.
ODIs. Sorry.
No, indeed. Akshay, before I come to you, I mean, some of the guys are making some good points in the comments as well, saying for ODIs, I think we should make more tri-series and multi-nation tournaments, exactly what Nick says. And there's something about discolored balls, that's gone out of the game. And throwback moments, I mean, you look at all those great exponents of reverse swing, all those spinners who come in the middle, that's just a huge part of the game sucked out, right, Akshay?
Definitely. I mean, when Nikhil mentioned, old balls is using 1 ball, I immediately went back to the 2011 World Cup, remembering those yellow discolored balls and Zahir Khan getting into reverse swing and all of that. Definitely a facet of the game I would like to see make a comeback. Maybe, for some reason, I also feel Sachin Tendulkar wasn't entirely wrong about, what he had in mind 20 odd years ago, the 2 innings, 25 overs each or 20 overs each or something of that sort. Maybe try that. I don't know. Maybe that could help. That's also a very weird marriage of, T20Is and Test cricket. Maybe that could work. You would see multiple innings happen in the same sort of set. I mean, in the same time period. So that would mean a lot more events would happen, because again, it would essentially be 2 T20I innings being played. So that could also probably be a solution. And again, most youngsters I speak to, or most people that are not just youngsters, most people I speak to say the same thing. They don't mind the tests, they don't mind the T20s. It's the ODIs that's becoming a problem.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because they
with
haven't
tests,
seen the glory years. And I don't think cricket markets itself at all. In terms of this is why you should watch this game. All we market is you should watch India, Australia. You should watch England, Australia. You should watch New Zealand, England. You should watch. You can't build rivalries based on 10 teams. It's
Yeah.
someday going to be exhaustive.
100%.
Sorry, actually, I think one of the things that Nikhil was absolutely bang on when he said there's got to be some kind of jeopardy on what you're watching. It has to mean something. When you're playing 10 ODIs on the bounce against the same side, it's just for the money, isn't it? And I think you can take supporters for a ride for a certain amount of time, but in the end, if all you're doing is providing sport for money and financial return, fans see through that. There's got to be some kind of product that you actually really care about, that you're going to watch and buy into. And I think that's where it comes to. I think the other point is that we've got to kind of try and get some kind of equality across cricket. Help out some of the nations that are struggling, the test nations that are struggling, but also obviously the associate nations. We've seen Netherlands in here and they're giving everybody a good game. But you've got Ireland, Scotland, Nepal, all the rest of the guys around the world who are trying to make their cricket teams sing and dance. They need ODIs. They need a format that is in that, because they're not playing test cricket. So you need to give them T20s and the longer format of the white ball game so they can actually build their sides and become better and stronger. So maybe you take the bilaterals away, or you make little mini tournaments and tri-series and stuff for the bigger boys. But the associate nations, they need ODIs. They need to play them.
Absolutely. Right. Before we let James go, one question from the comments. And of course, we'll ask him what he's looking forward to the most this week, because there's England, Bangladesh, like he mentioned, tomorrow, and there's England, Afghanistan. And of course, we also have patiently waiting W.E. Raman in the side, which we'll get to in 2 minutes. I promise you that. But James, really quickly then, can you answer the introspect question? Please ask James, he goes on to say, what can England improve upon in the coming games? Will Stokes' absence disrupt the approach to the batting order?
Introspect, they can improve pretty much blooming everything, can't they? They were short of the mark on in every aspect of the game. They didn't get off to a decent start. The two openers are out cheaply. One of the positive things was Joe Root actually finding some runs, because he's going to be important for England going through this tournament. He provides that glue that hopefully the rest of them can bat around and maybe a bit more aggressive. I think with the ball, they didn't seem to have a plan. They allowed the New Zealanders to get away, so they can improve in basically every aspect of the game. In terms of Ben Stokes, he's hugely important. I hope they don't play him when he's not quite fit, because they'll need him fit for the Test series coming up in India in the new year. And I value his presence in that probably more than his presence in the ODI side, to be honest. So hopefully they'll look after Ben Stokes. But when he does play, he's only going to be playing as a batter, but he's going to be playing as the number 4, and he's going to be hugely important as well, alongside Root in that middle order. So hopefully they can get him fit, bandage him up, wrap him in cotton wool, and he'll take England to glory again. But just going back to the kind of the New Zealand thing earlier on, I wanted to say, when you got your shirt out, if England don't win this World Cup, with all due respect to you Indian guys, I hope New Zealand win it, because when we finished 4 years ago and it was so tight, England won it legitimately. All of this stuff about it, you win it by default is nonsense. It was all in the rules, but it was two tides. New Zealanders conducted themselves so well off the back of that final defeat. So if it's not England, I really hope that New Zealand get there.
Okay, super. And really quickly, what are you looking forward to? England, Afghanistan, or England, Bangladesh?
I'm looking forward to both, because both of them provide England potentially with the banana skin. In your major tournaments, England love flat tracks where they can just tee off and hit 400. The slow, low stuff where it turns a little bit is where England have always had trouble. So if they get pitches like that against Afghanistan and Bangladesh, we could be 3 defeats from 3, maybe. So that's going to be having to win everything from there on. That's looking with the glass very much half empty. They should have too much for both sides, but both sides can certainly cause England trouble. And then just to cast on a little bit further, I can't remember exactly what the date is, but India, Pakistan. That is going to be something worth watching wherever you are in the world. We don't play that enough, obviously, only really in ICC global events. Strangely enough, when there's groups, they always seem to get in the same group, don't they? Miraculously get in the same group. But that is box office. India versus Pakistan is going to be fantastic, and both have got very, very good teams.
Yeah, absolutely. That's 1 out of the 7 games we're going to be talking about with the rest of the boys. But James, thank you so much for your Monday Night Live debut, and hopefully to catch you some point of time in the World Cup and giving us a lot of insight about England and how things are being perceived back home.
It's nice to talk to all 3 of you. Enjoy the rest of the week and enjoy the World Cup.
Indeed.
Thank you so much.
Hopefully, we won't get England to have 3 defeats, but we would love it as Indian fans. We'll leave that there, James. Thank you so much.
That's how you're going to leave me, is it? That's how you're going to notes. Yeah. Right.
Just being honest, elite honesty.
Just being honest, indeed. But really, really appreciate your time, James Buttler, and all the best with everything. Follow James, and of course, like he mentioned, the Cricket Badger podcast is also something that you guys should really get your hands into. It's brilliant indeed. James, we'll leave it there. We'll see you soon, my friend.
Cheers, chaps. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
He's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. Time for one guest to go and the other to come on, because we have, of course, our favorite W.E. Raman joining us right now. WB, sir, we're in your city, Chennai. The weather is absolutely bonkers. How are you for starters, sir?
Weather's absolutely fine. You had a full game. What are you mooning about? You saw India win the game from a tight situation, and you also had a surface which more or less bamboozled the Australians. What more can you ask for?
No, that's true. I mean, spoken like a truth, a million over there. I was complaining about how much of sweat I've lost in the last 4 or 5 days, but look, that's part of the job. Sir, we've of course got you on this Monday Night Live with great difficulty. We really, really appreciate your time. So shout out to you. And of course, it's a big week. Released a book, and I'll put it out. The Lords of Ankara, the tales between two titles. It is, of course, you and our Kaushik. Talk to me about this book, how it came about, the brainchild of it. The space is yours, sir.
Oh, this book is about all the major events that happened between the two title terms, which was in 1983 and 2011, and we've written about the events that had a major impact in the development of Indian cricket and also making Indian cricket what it is today in the world of cricket. Of course, it's had its strife and successes. It's also had its tribulations. It's not been a smooth passage. So this is something which will enable readers to understand the various things that went in to for India to become what it is today. And it's interesting in the sense that it doesn't matter who your hero is. There's something really written about all the heroes that you can think of. You start from Gavaskar onwards to the latest Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma. Everybody figures in that because of the contribution that they made, and they made something absolutely significant in their careers. And in fact, we've also written about the pace attack of 1932 that India had. So, which means that it's not that it's really going back to that particular era, but in passing, but still, if you're a millennial, you will get to understand what Indian cricket was in the 80s or the 70s. And then if you're just in your 30s, you'll obviously relish the fact that it takes you through all the years that Sachin Tendulkar and various others in that particular era. So there's a lot for everybody to read about. And it's not about what happened, it's about the context of those events and also what it did to Indian cricket and the influence it had in not only in terms of cricket but also in other ways possible that is related to cricket. In one
No,
line, it can be called as the IPL of books.
okay,
It's
I
got
love it.
everything. It's got everything for everybody.
Indeed, and some of the stories and excerpts is definitely something the three of us will keenly read, and it's already available on Flipkart and different websites over there. So definitely get your hands on that. Just on that book, a little bit more, sir. I mean, how hard was it to put it all together? Because you're a man of multiple stories. You've of course played for India. You've coached the women's team as well. Was it a real tough task, or was it just natural?
I tell you what, the concept of the book was conceived in about 5 minutes. It's just that Kaushik posed a question to me about whether I will be interested in doing a joint project because we are good friends. So my response to it was, "Oh, do you think we should do it?" He said, "Yes. Give me a couple of concepts." He said, you come out with them in no time." So it's just that we were having a smoke those days. I used to smoke. We were having a smoke, and then I just thought about it for a minute. Couple of drags gone, I said, "Yes, let's write about this particular phase which nobody's done." And even if somebody's done it, it's a case of all those events figuring in the same book. I think that's the rarity of it. And the other thing is that all these events that we have written about is seen through different lens, one from either side of the fence. I would have seen a lot of things from the inside. And Kaushik is one who's covered a lot of cricket. He's covered more than 100 test matches, and he's also covered almost all the marquee events in international cricket in the last 3 decades. So he would have his way of looking at all those events and all those incidents that happened, and I would have a different connotation to it. But that is what will make this book very interesting, and it's something that took a lot of time, and we had to get a lot of things right. We had to be accurate with facts. That obviously is something that's a non-negotiable thing. You got to get your facts right, and you also have to convey it in a very balanced manner. You can't get carried away about it. I think, even though I said myself, we both have done it reasonably well. We got a good balance of it. We've celebrated events that had to be celebrated, and we've also perhaps expressed our dissatisfaction about a few things, but not really having a go at anybody, but just to say that this is something that cricket could have done without.
It'll be an honest read, and if you guys enjoyed this Monday Night Live, of course, this is the book that WB is talking about. It's out now, The Tales Between Two Titles, and that's key because India, of course, they keep going back to the 1983 example. The 2011 stands out vividly, and let's see if this book gives us a lot of insight. I bet my bottom dollar it will. Right, with that out of the way, WB, sir, the World Cup is upon us, and Nikhil and Akshay, feel free to just badger WB with a couple of questions for the next 5 minutes. But first up, I want to ask you, sir, who's winning the World Cup and why? Is it the obvious India?
Because it's a well-rounded side. Because it's a well-rounded side, and what has happened is leading up to the World Cup, all the pieces have started falling into place, and even in the first game that they played, if you look at it, they were under a bit of pressure, but they overcame it in style, and that's what you needed. If at all you cast your mind back to how people were thinking about a few weeks ago, there was a lot of jitters as far as the middle order slots were concerned. Now the middle order seems to be absolutely really well settled, even though you might say that one more slot has to be even more concrete than what it is now. Of course, that will happen in time. We got enough time. We got 8 more games, and it's obviously almost a norm that in a tournament you'll have a few performing better than the others. And what is important is contributions coming from everybody, which I'm sure will happen. And also, a lot of things happened that ensured we perhaps did what we had to do. And along those lines, I think Providence also played a part in a couple of cases. And I feel happy about the fact that the team management and the selectors have had the headaches they've had. And I sincerely pray that they hope to have until the November midweek. So that's the way I look at it. And for all these reasons, I think India has got a very good chance of regaining the title. We've been doing really well, but somehow it's been a case of so close, but yet no cigar. We'll obviously get over that in this particular edition of the World Cup.
Okay, super. We have some comments coming through as well, which I'll definitely cater to. But Akshay and Nikhil, one question each because we have WB in a very tight time frame. So Akshay and Nikhil, take it away.
All right, I'll just go first. Hi, sir. Just one
Hi.
thing. Firstly, a lot has been made about KL Rahul and how he reacted to the shot going for a six instead of a four and all of that. Just wanted to know. I'm really sorry because personally, I felt it wasn't entirely wrong. Like, I mean, after all, he's also human. Everyone wants to get a World Cup century under their belt, and what better than to be able to do that against the likes of the Aussies. But a lot of people did talk about how that reaction wasn't justified. People seem to becoming a lot more milestone oriented, and we hear a lot of this chat as well, by commentators, by experts about. What do you make of that, and what did you think of that reaction again, in particular?
If you were to be rigid, you would say, yes, it's all about helping the team to win. And what's all this personal milestones about? No. As long as a person looking for his milestones, which does not really hamper his team's fortunes, or if it's really, nothing that's going to hamper the team from achieving, I don't think we should make an issue out of it. Yes, it is a fabulous innings. Who would not want to get to 100? And especially if you're talking about a match winning 100 from a tight situation, fair enough. It was not a case of India needing 10 runs of 2 balls and then he had to go for it, not to really play for his 100. It was not a situation like that. He obviously planned for it. It didn't happen. And obviously, he felt dejected. There's nothing wrong in it. It was momentary. And that's what sport is all about. Whether you're disappointed or whether you are happy, You have only few moments to express those emotions, and he did that, and he was honest about it. Give him marks for it. He could have easily said something else, and you would have had to believe him. But he didn't resort to saying that. He said, "Yes, I was planning for 100, I couldn't get it, so probably there's a next time." We have to appreciate not only how a cricketer plays, but also how forthright he is in expressing his views.
Indeed. Next.
Yes, sir. Great to see you online finally. I've been passing by you in many of those events, but never got a chance to speak to you in person. But
Nice to see you as well.
thank you, thank you. I just have a more broad question in terms of cricket that we've seen a lot of legendary teams, be it West Indies or Australia. They've had their identity. At what time do you feel in any cricketing culture do you feel that okay that there's a need to identify a new style of play, like say for example how Australia have been playing, how say England have been playing in the recent past since 2015. So do you think is it always after a low point that you have to feel that okay now is the time we need to have a separate identity? Like my case in point is for India as a T20 side, because I feel for a long period of time we've had the best league in the world, the best players, the best coaches, but somehow I feel it's the identity of a team that's being missing in terms of the T20 lenses. So do you feel if it's true, or how do you get to a point where okay now this is how we want to play, so this is how we'll go about everything?
The emotions that an Indian team brings to the sport, I think that is our identity. It's not that we've done badly. It need not be just results, results all the time. What will be sport without emotions? As far as that is concerned, I think we perhaps bring it to the maximum, and that's the reason why, if you see, you have a lot of people following the Indian team. It's not just restricted to the expats supporting Indian sides abroad. You also have a lot of locals supporting the Indian side because of the emotions that we bring, and also at times the inconsistency that we show, and that is what sport is all about. Yes, a few more trophies will be very nice. Definitely, there's no way two ways about it. But again, sport is not just restricted to a side winning every time they walk out onto the field. We see that happening in all other disciplines as well. But as an Indian, everybody will be a lot more happier if they see their team walk out on the field, get 1,000 for no loss, and bowl the opponents out within the 12, 15 balls that they bowl. That's fine. That's how expectations are. But that's not going to be possible. I do understand the disappointment of the fans, because the question will be, we have everything. Why is it we don't have the number of trophies that we perhaps expect them to have? That's a fair question. I don't have any answer, but yet, what is also admirable about the fans is that despite all the disappointments sometimes they show in their own ways, they still back the side. Whenever, okay, in case if they have a bad game, yes, there's a lot of views expressed on the social media. But faithfully, 2 days later, if the men in blue walk out on the field, they're all there. And I think that is what makes India the sporting nation, and India the sporting country that it is. And now with our contingents representing India doing extraordinarily well in the Olympics and the Asian Games, we are marching towards a phase where India is going to be a big deal even in sports, all-round sports. We are not going to be just restricted to cricket and hockey as it were in the past. We are going to be a nation which is going to be really respected in so many other countries, which is not really familiar with cricket or hockey. So that is what I am happy about, and we all should take pride in the fact that as a nation we are making superb strides in every which way possible.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, WB, and I also think it's music to our ears just hearing this from your perspective as well. I've cherry picked a few questions before you go and say goodbye to us. Pranavaram
Avnish,
asked.
you know me. Once I get onto the show, I don't go in a huff.
I know, but I just wanted to be polite. I didn't want to kind of overrun my time. So, Pranav, who is, of course, a regular viewer, going on to ask you, sir, W. Raman, sir, how apt is it to compare players from two different eras, even if we apply numerous filters? Asking this because any present player is part of a long evolution, and each past player, and there's a second part of it, has played a part indirectly or directly in their making. So how do you assess that?
It's an excellently framed question in the sense that the fact that the current generation player is picked up a few things from the earlier generation player is something that you have mentioned. And the question by itself suggests that you are not perhaps happy in a place of different eras being compared, which I agree with, because I think whatever filters you take into account and whatever parameters you bring into the fray, I think it's very difficult to compare plays of two generations, because it is what it is in a particular generation. The best thing would be to try and understand the fact that we need to, people like me, have to appreciate the current day cricketers wholeheartedly, and the current day cricketers or the fans need to also understand that there were quite a lot of good players in the past as well. Now, what is happening is that we tend to be stuck with one particular generation. It happens on both sides. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It's only restricted to one particular generation. We all are generally frozen, or probably a little bit more emotionally involved with the generation of cricketers we grew up with or we played with, whatever the case may be. But just to put it in one line or answer in one line, I think it's not something that I would advocate, comparing cricketers or sports persons of different generations, and also that each generation of cricketers need to really give a lot of credit, and also be thankful that the earlier generation cricketers continued playing during the time, even when there was no money when they played cricket.
Yeah, I think it's an important point you mentioned there. Lastly, then, Paras Arora going on to say, WB sir, you worked a lot with a current day cricketer in Shubman Gill. Could you please tell us what is so distinct about his style that he's the only youngster who's able to score big hundreds at such a strike rate? It's a pity that he's missed the first game and he'll miss the second game as well. But talk to me about Shubman Gill.
Oh, how much I would have loved to see him play at Chennai. That is not to be, unfortunately. But what is outstanding about Shubman Gill is that he's got a divine sense of timing,
Hmm.
and the power that he generates purely through timing is unbelievable. I think I saw this. The earlier case where I saw this was when I saw VVS Lakshman bat, as he came just out of the under 19 days. And in fact, you can confirm it with the right people. I remember seeing VVS Lakshman drafted into the South Zone side when he's fairly young, coming out of under 19 tour. And then I saw him bat about 4 or 5 deliveries in the nets. I made a statement that unless this boy gives up playing cricket, he has to play 70 test matches. I don't know why I made it 70, I don't know. Because those days, 70 test matches, you need to play long. I think that's what was the logic behind it. Yes, getting back to Gill, he had that divine sense of timing that Lakshman had, and also the fact that he's got the hunger, and he's weeded out whatever needs to be weeded out on the way up, technically, and also in terms of adaptation. He's done that well, and to get runs on bouncy tracks in Australia was really something that would have given him a lot of confidence in a tight series, that too. And if you look at it, uh, he's been improving year on year. The corporates generally look at improving all their numbers year on year, but Shubman Gill has done that in terms of cricket, which is what you like to see in a young man. And uh, that's the reason why he's getting the runs he's getting. But I would like to uh, see him iron out a couple more things which will happen. Uh, that's how things go in cricket. If you're constantly playing, there's every chance that you'll ride on good form, and also you sometimes lack the time that you need to have to iron out of a couple of flaws here and there, because it's impossible for a human to be playing the same way 365 days a year. You may not get it right on a few days. That happens. But as I said earlier, the critical thing is that he's been improving each and every season.
Yeah, he's been brilliant. And I love the VVS insight as well. 70 test matches. You said he went on to represent India for 134, nearly doubling that. But on a lighter note with Gill, sir, you can have all the 6 packs, 8 packs, but one mosquito can put you out of 2 games of the tournament. Talk to me, because this never would have happened in your day.
You're being cruel. You're being cruel, Avnish. I didn't know this side of yours.
No, just a couple of loose nuts. But WEB, thank you so much. You've been absolutely brilliant. And like Sarvamangla says, good information, sir. Really, really keep it coming. And all the best with your endeavors and the book as well. Just a small plug in again. If you guys missed us, WE's book is out right now. The Lords of Ankara. Go check it out. It's an absolutely fantastic read. I'm going to definitely view it on the plane if I can on my way to Hyderabad. WE, thank you so much for your time. And hopefully we can catch you throughout the World Cup as soon as possible.
Thanks a lot, Avnish. And you guys have fun and enjoy the World Cup. As they say in Bangalore, enjoy Madi.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thank
Cheers.
I mean, WB has just been an absolute sport there. He's popped in last minute, and why wouldn't he? Because look, that book's going to come out. It's already out, and it's worth to read it indeed. That was WB, boys. I mean, 2 guests. We thought we'll just have 1, but MNL onwards and upwards, right? Nix, did you see this coming? Be honest.
No, this is like that googly that we keep bowling to Akshay. This kept coming in. But yeah, as long as we are doing good, we are good.
Okay, Akshay, we have to, of course, pay respect to the thumbnail because we went with KL Rahul as a hot talking point. You brought it up with WE, and rightly so. What did you make of it at the time? Because, of course, India got the win. We were all elated. We were doing fan cams. But now when you look back at the cold light of day, do you feel bad for KL or do you understand where he was coming from?
I sort of more lean towards the latter in terms of having seen the kind of discourse that's been going around in social media for the last couple of months. It's only understandable that he would want to get that milestone. I mean, last month a 60 odd from Ishan Kishan had already seen social media go berserk and say, "Ki bhai, KL Rahul nahi chahiye, Ishan Kishan is the next is the deal." So of course it does make sense. And again, I completely agree with what WV sir said in that had it been hampering his team's chances, then of course, yeah, then that's where I draw the line. But in this case, that was never going to be the case. And in fact, what's even more hilarious is what Sanjay has mentioned, and that is true. Had he actually gotten his century by scoring a 4 and then a 6, he would have actually helped India boost its NRR. So by no means, of course, I'm not going to say that he was only doing it for the team's sake. Of course, he wanted to get to that milestone because who doesn't want a World Cup century? And like Nikhil has mentioned, like Gurkirat has mentioned, 5 years down the line, we will have people saying, कि भाई वर्ल्ड कप सेंचुरी है क्या नहीं ना सिर्फ श्रीलंका के अगेंस्ट मारा था ना सिर्फ ये किया था ना सिर्फ वो किया था we'll have people with all sorts of opinions because everyone is entitled to an opinion and this is the freedom of speech and what it entails. So yeah, I definitely do agree, man. Like I do see where he was coming from and I don't think it was entirely unjustified.
Next, your 2 pence in this because I heard you, Som and Gurkirat in that review, but for the people who missed that, can you just allude to what you think about that whole thing which went on?
See, I think as Akshay said, completely fair on KL to try and do that again without hampering the team's chances. I just feel it's about time we change the discourse. Change the discourse about it's not needed. You don't need the World Cup hundreds. Will you return back the final because you didn't have anybody scoring 100? You had a 91, you had a 97. Did you return the trophy? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
As long as your runs are coming in the best interest of the team, that is all that matters, and that's all the discourse should be. If after 5 years somebody just wants to look at the scorecard, maybe you don't need the person's opinion to be sure of how the person play. From a position of 2 for 3, a guy getting 97, 98, 99, 100 makes no difference. It's been a valuable now. Those runs plus minus not out will not make a difference as long as the team is winning. So I think it will be a good start that it will just grow because there were complaints in the Indore ODI that okay, people slowed down because they were approaching milestones. All of these thoughts will never come into the frame if it's made normal to not worry about the century. Okay, मिला तो ठीक है, नहीं मिला तो भी ठीक है. What does the team need me right now? Team needs me to hit every ball for a 4 or a 6. Let's do that. I think it will take a lot of time, but I think this would be a good start. Again, this is for the greater good, and of course, we'll still see a lot of people trying that, but that's just my two cents.
Okay, people in the comments, of course, wanting to have their say on this, saying I felt on the last ball it was okay, but it gets slow after 80, 85. That is a concern. I think Simon Dool also said that certain players are milestone driven. And Sanjay going on ad saying how relieved Rohit and Dravid would have been, considering they would have backed KL and I to come so close to the World Cup. They deserve some appreciation, and they backed him no matter what. Let's just end the India-Australia chat by, of course, asking Akshay this one thing that I saw on Twitter. One of these guys said, dude, do you guys think it was Virat Kohli's best 50 in an ODI World Cup? What do you make of that? Do you think it was? I mean, when we look back at his 50s and all of that, it was probably up there, to be fair, with the situation we were in.
Given the situation and the circumstances, sure, yeah. But the thing is, यार इतने सारे 50s मारे मुझे आधे से ज़्यादा याद भी नहीं है ठीक से अगर सोचने जाओ तो it becomes very difficult. So I'm just trying to think what probably the best counter-attacking innings played by him in the World Cup. I mean, on par with, I would even say that the 35 ball 28 in the 2011 World Cup finals. Of course, that was a different situation. That was literally the finals. But yeah, definitely right up there for sure.
Next.
Yeah, I'm not sure for Virat, but for KL, I'm sure this is probably the best knock that he's ever played so far.
Yeah,
in terms of just the control and the calmness that I've always been harping ke bhai, do not go by one matches about one guy coming replacing. He's been quality for a reason, so just stay with him.
Indeed. And Barbara saying that's too much, man. Best if you don't shoot the messenger. I just saw this on Twitter. Indeed. Yeah, India, Australia done. And like we were, of course, alluding to with James, what are some of the fixtures to look forward to this week? And of course, we'll talk about some of the highlights which has gone by as well to wrap up proceedings on MNL. First and foremost, guys, the fixtures this week, like I told James, 7 games from right now to the next MNL. So we have a double-header tomorrow. England, Bangladesh, that is done, inshallah. I think then there's Pakistan, Sri Lanka, where we're going to be doing fan cams outside Hyderabad. India, Afghanistan on Wednesday. Australia, South Africa on Thursday. New Zealand, Bangladesh. India, Pakistan is a huge one. And England, Afghanistan. So out of all the games, which one are you guys looking forward to the most and why? You cannot say India, Pakistan.
Obviously you can't say that. I'm looking forward to Australia versus South Africa. More so because it's in Lucknow, and if it spins, I remember what happened last time Marnus and Samshi played an ODI, and if it is turning, I really cannot wait to see how that will pan out. And again, 2 big teams, Australia coming off they'll see a disappointing game, South Africa coming off a very, very good win, but Lucknow, if the pitch is slightly holding up, I'm very keen to see how they play Maharaj, Samshi, and even Markram can bowl that day. So, should be a very good battle.
Akshay, South Africa, Australia always invokes good World Cup memories. 99 immediately comes to mind. Yeah. 2007 when they got walloped, I think, in the West Indies, South Africa, that comes to mind. But even 2019, remember that game? I think it was Old Trafford, 325 played 315 or there and thereabouts. So are you looking forward to that game like Nick's mentioned, or do you think there's something else which catches your eye in that fixture list?
It definitely is going to be a very entertaining game. South Africa is probably the most, has probably the most informed batting lineup right now, batting unit right now, sorry. So lots to look forward to. And add to that, the fact that Lucknow's surface it's the first game there, a relayed surface, a new surface. So all of us would be interested in knowing how it's going to play. So that's another element that I'm looking forward to seeing, because India also play England there in 3 weeks. So lots to look forward to on that front as well. But come on, man, it's hard to look past India, Pakistan. And this is coming from a bona fide Indian team fan, जो मैं हूँ भाई.
चिल्लाने से सब चेंज नहीं होता ये सब.
Exactly. Which is well said. And you relax.
New Zealand की जर्सी पहन के बैठा है, मुझसे ये बोलता है.
I'm just supporting cricket. You know me where my heart lies with India. Of course, no one needs to know that. By the way, this guy is saying, will you be there for China? We will.
Yes, we will be there.
23rd of October.
No, that's on the 16th. Oh, sorry, yeah, 23rd. My bad. No, 23rd. You're right.
चिल्लाने से कुछ नहीं होता, अक्षय.
भाई हम उनमें से जो बिना शर्माए, बिना हिचकिचाए माफी भी मांगते हैं, गलती भी स्वीकार करते हैं. बताओ.
Okay, super.
म्यूट पे देखोगे तो ये सब करना ही पड़ेगा. ठीक.
Okay, now Babar Rao saying tomorrow's my team game. Who's favorite? Babar Rao,
Yeah,
man, I don't know. I think obviously England will definitely start favorites there without a shadow of a doubt. But more importantly,
Hey, bhai.
versus Sri Lanka. I think Sri Lanka, man. Sorry. I tell you why I said England, Bangladesh, because Bangladesh, man, you never know. You never know. Tashkent, four down England.
Four
yeah. I
down, see
think
that.
I think in Dharamsala, of course, the outfield, but I think pitch is something that's going to be a lot of talk. Because if it's this is probably for the first time that you feel if it is spinning, so Bangladesh have more than enough chance. But actually, if it's doing something, even then the Bangladesh have 3-4 pacers who can really do the job for them. So while I still expect England to bat better as compared to Bangladesh, but if Bangladesh are bowling first, and if there is some movement, we didn't see any in the last one. So very interested to see if it happens. Neto, you have the Mehdis, which Y and DI to really wreak havoc, and England have had that defeat as well in Bangladesh. So they know how it feels. So very interested to see how they come, especially after a loss. So they'll probably come harder, but it only makes the contest more exciting.
Absolutely. Now remember, England Bangladesh is the early match, and we'll be doing a preview tomorrow at 9:55 with the boys. So catch
Yeah.
us then. Press the bell icon and subscribe if you guys are new watching this right here, right now. Let's of course move on and look back, guys, at what's been a fantastic start to the World Cup. We spoke about England, New Zealand. We spoke about different things, but what caught my eye was Aiden Markram. Make no mistake.
100.
First of all, South Africa genuinely three of them getting hundreds, and then inevitably getting the highest World Cup score, I think. And then Akshay, do you know whose record he broke, Aiden Markram, to get the World Cup's fastest time? Because I saw that game live in Bangalore. That's a clue.
Nice.
Yeah, a certain Mr. Kevin O'Brien versus England in Chinnaswamy. Yeah, I know my stats, I guess. At least I know a bit of my stats. Shouldn't be too, yeah, shouldn't be too narcissistic.
Okay, but how did you make what did you make of that Markram knock? Because he came in at a
Well,
time where, of course, it was a well set platform to just go berserk, but still, it was clean hitting. It was not like something that we normally see with Sky and all these boys. He can bat, man.
Of
he
Markram.
course.
definitely he definitely can bat, but I was surprised with the conviction. I was surprised with the conviction with which you were busy convincing everyone. I saw this, I saw that. Both of us, we saw the game till the 30th over mark, 200 odd, and then we were like, okay, we're too tired. We just completed the watch along. Both of us were tired. We dozed off only to get up to see 428. So tell me, Avnish, which century did you actually properly watch? I
All
mean,
three in
how
the
did you watch?
highlight. All three in the
Of
highlights.
course.
Mate, you got to understand because I'm on my travels. I'm
Of
not seeing
course.
every game. I didn't even
I'm with
see.
you. I'm with you.
Yeah,
We can
exactly.
do this outside. We can do this outside the show. You don't have to worry. But
Okay.
yeah, jokes apart, fantastic
Jokes
knock though.
apart,
49 balls.
jokes apart, though. But one second, something that I definitely want to put out there. Thanks, Noodle, for being very nice to me because he says, by the way, Avnish, you should be more happier. Yeah, for sure, 100%. But look, just coming back to the week which has gone by, Nix. Markram, we spoke about Rachin Ravindra. I mean, we can't stop talking about the boy and what pleased you the most. Does he remind you of anyone of the past or not really?
No, not really actually. Because you see the way he plays, it's again you can different people will find relation somewhere, but I just feel the way he bowls and he bats too early to even think of comparing with anybody. Shakib, but okay, I'm not taking any other name. For my point is, it's the control and the ease with which he's played, especially the shot that he played in that first game against Moeen Ali. Very few people now are able to hit the off spinner over long on like that, and very early. I also feel there is a lot of flair to his cut shot, and I just have some bias for people who can hit over covers and who can hit a very good cut shot because I just feel for lefties it just looks that much more elegant. And with the ball also today, Santner has 4 wickets, but he's again bowled very well and controlled. And to think all of this, he wouldn't have even played had Williamson been fit. So I just feel for somebody to be so ready, he's been part of the setup, but just to do it in a World Cup is just very special. And also, slight bias, he's done it versus England, so it just feels a bit more sweet. Wow, good, keep doing it.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he did it in the World Cup opener against those guys was brilliant. Just ask you about Rachin Ravindra then, Akshay, because we've seen it with New Zealand in the past where they've kind of got these kind of players. Do you think he's here to stay right now? Because I think he's already played 3 formats and he's one for the future, definitely, right?
He's definitely one to look out for the future. In fact, he was one of the few names that Mike Hessen had mentioned like over a couple of years
Yeah.
ago. So I mean, I had heard his name before, but to be honest, he hadn't done anything much of note in international cricket so far. So, which is why this knock coming in at at such a platform, at such a global event. So that's what makes it even more sort of eye-opening in that sense. Because like Nikhil rightly mentioned, he wasn't even supposed to be a part of the 11 in the first place. To not only come in and to not only come and fill in the likes of Williamson's shoes, but to also be able to do that and much more. Fantastic performance against against a team like England. Of course, completely agree and relate to what Nikhil bhai said there. और भी खुशी मिलती है जब देखते हैं कि हाँ इंग्लैंड को मारा ना अच्छा और मार. So it was great. It was a great knock, and Santosh Udappa again. Uspe bhi we can relate. You know, he did talk about what Israel layout. He spoke about Jayanagar and all of that. Very heartening. Just अरे ये तो अपना लड़का है भाई ऐसा लगता है. So yeah, it's always nice.
Okay, super. With that, let's move on to the last couple of segments because it's not a long MNL this, but we'll still talk about some of the best of the rest in this one. Right, and best of the rest, I mean, what do we speak about? Because honestly, cricket.com has just been covering so much of content. It's good to see. But what I will do right now, I'll of course ask the boys about that, crazy list A 29 ball 100 that we saw. Do you think that record can be broken? I know records will be broken, but Nix, when you saw it, probably on Twitter or whatever, were you like flummoxed? Like, how is this possible, even though we're living in an age of T20 cricket?
Yeah, I can't share my first reactions. I've been bitten by him in many BBL games, so I will keep my personal opinion to myself. Uh, but I mean, good for him. It's not that you didn't see him doing that one day, and it just tells you that when you have a game like that, there will be a day when everything will just click for you. And happy that it did for him, and happy that he got a record. Because see, there are a lot of names in our sport that just get lost, but to have something to your name is always special, and to do it, have a world record of sorts, it just makes it even more valuable. A lot more people will know about you, a lot more people will maybe tune in the next time you play. So from the human side of it, very happy. From the fantasy aspects, I'll just keep mum.
Okay, and I'll tell you why, but if you guys know, you know. Akshay, I just want to share my screen right now because honestly, it's that time where we also promote the Newsly Week letter. Did I get that right? Yeah, I got that right.
You did. I was just trying to.
No,
No, no, you get it. The newsletter.
Newsletter.
Newsletter. I was like, this is
Usually
off.
nice.
For sure. But it's the October 9th edition, and of course, we've spoken about everything. Anirudh Suresh, of course, will brief you guys in terms of the written content, as you can see here. Rachin Ravindra, all the World Cup talking points. There was one more thing that I wanted to ask you guys. We spoke about this one. What about this, guys? Because essentially, Dharamshala outfield under the scanner, it says, and that could come under the microscope even further because that is, of course, the venue for England Bangladesh. Should the BCCI be concerned because it's the World Cup event, Akshay? They can't be affording to have questions about outfields, for crying out loud.
Yeah, definitely. Just move all the games to Bangalore, India, New Zealand, Bangalore. में होगा थोड़ा कुछ हम भी देख लेंगे अच्छे से. Firstly, let me get that out of the system. But yeah, it's really appalling to see a venue so underprepared for the World Cup, let alone it not being a bilateral series fixture or something like that. And I mean, if you know who's running the HPC and all of that, you sort of get an idea of why things are the way it is. And yeah, this isn't the first time this is happening. I mean, this is the second time this is happening in this year alone. Earlier, the India-England test match had to be moved from, not England, Australia, my bad, had to be moved from Dharamshala to Indore for the exact same reasons. And despite having nearly 8 or 10 months, if I'm not wrong, if not more, despite having 10 months, if they're not able to fix this issue, yeah, this just goes on to show that if you're not interested, you're not interested. And Nikhil bhai ne kaha tha na, at this point, it seems like BCCI is just taking us for a ride. Physics mein ek hota hai breaking point of elasticity. अभी बीसीसीआई बस उनके फैंस का यही चक्कर है, व्हाट्स द ब्रेकिंग पॉइंट, बस खींचते रहो, एक दिन होगा. आई जस्ट होप इट कम्स सून इनफ, बट आई जेन्युइनली थिंक एक दिन वो आएगा, वो ब्रेकिंग पॉइंट कहीं ना कभी तो आएगा. सो
Yeah,
Okay,
I think just
super.
to give them whatever little, there is no benefit of doubt here, but they had a fungus or fungi infection due to rain and all of that, but it is all controllable. You knew about this all the time. So you either move games out or again, see, eventually with them, it's about intent. There is nothing that's new to you or news to you. So just because supposing you, or I don't know if they can take the boundaries in, because you do not want anybody to get injured in a World Cup game. That will be the last thing. People will never stop talking about it. But I just don't know why it just misses them.
Yeah, it does. And like you pointed out, Nix, I mean, the Afghanistan coach, Johnny Trott, as you can see there, said that Mujib was lucky to not pick up a serious injury. By the way, just to finish up the newsletter, the picture of the week, I don't know if you guys saw this. This was Logan Man Beak, and of course, nearly doing a neck in. But more such fascinating, cool things available on cricket.com. Of course, the World Cup is here, and we have all the tailor-made content that you guys want to see. Right, let's of course move on to the next segment, which is the final one. Sorry, the penultimate one, because the 12th man questions keep them coming through. It's time for Akshay's How's That quiz. Right, of course, we always have something to give you in terms of trivia. Not prizes, because of course we put that on hold, but we'll try to figure it out. And especially all the past winners as well. Hold on to your horses. We'll definitely get in touch with you with regards to that. Right, last week, Akshay asked this question saying connect the following, where as you can see all the bunch of names over there. And before Akshay gives the answer, you guys have to like, share, and subscribe. And not to forget, comment, not in the live chat, but comment in the comments so we can pin it up, and whoever gets the answer first, of course, wins just nothing right now, but just will be shouted out in terms of the winner. Right. So, Akshay, what is the answer to that?
I mean, it was fairly straightforward in that people would have known the direction they had to look at. The likes of Salil Ankola, bhai, aisa koi cricket wala to funda hoga nahi unke saath. But I was looking for something more specific. Of course, all of them have been a part of a movie or something like that. But there have been a lot more names. And I mentioned that this is an exhaustive list. So these are the only cricketers to have actually been the male leads in their movies. They've actually led a movie. And unfortunately, I did miss a name. So thanks, Neural Hacks with Vasant, for pointing it out. So naturally, that makes him the winner. Sadakop and Ramesh had also acted, or rather led, a Tamil movie way back in 2010. So that's a missing name. So congratulations, Neural Hacks with Vasant, for getting the answer right. And like Avnish mentioned, we just have to figure a few things out. I mean, we're sort of, we're still busy on the go and traveling and all of that going on right now. So just give us some time. We'll definitely figure it out. Ajinkya, don't worry. We've got you covered. We've seen your comment. We see you. We know that you've gotten the answer right. We'll definitely get back to you soon. Santosh, of course, same goes for you as well. You don't have to worry, bro. You've taken all our merch. Thank you so much for wearing it yesterday, by the way. Avnish was really happy, and so was I. It was great seeing you. So yeah, let's go to the question now. If we could have the image, Avnish, on display, yeah, there we go. Very simple question, guys. You see a pitch map right in front of you. बहुत ज़्यादा load नहीं है. All you guys need to tell me is which spell is this pitch map indicating or representing. So I need to know the bowler's name and I need to know what the spell was. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Fairly straightforward, fairly simple. ज़्यादा hint clue देने का मतलब नहीं बनता.
That's it. Which spell, meaning like in the World Game or the World Cup? What? You have to set some context, right? There's so many spells in the world.
हाँ भाई, आप रुकते तो हम और
No. You said fairly simple. No. You have to like give
तो
your
जाओ
guys.
भाई. You need to unpeel the onion. एक के बाद एक बताते हैं. ऐसा एक साथ सब नहीं बताते. रुको, हम बताते हैं. Yeah, we will tell it. So yeah, just the only other hint, because now that Avnish has already spilled the beans, it is from a World Cup game, of course. We have the World Cup going on right now, so no better time to sort of talk about this spell. So yeah, all I want to know is which spell does this graphic represent? And guys, make sure you do type in your answers in the main comment section. So Ashutosh Bajpai, if you think this is a spell, make sure you wait for the stream to end or whenever you're free next time. You sort of enter your key in your answer in the main comment section. the first one to do so is the winner. And yeah, we'll figure out what the prices are going to be. But yeah, right now we'll give you a shout out for sure. Avnish will give you a loud enough shout out. So will I.
Okay,
So yeah, that's the
super.
question.
And that is, of course, a good question for you guys to think about. Hopefully, you guys will kind of think about that for a little bit longer. Right, let's, of course, end the MNL because we have to do another review of the New Zealand Netherlands game with Gurkirat and Som. So we'll take the 12th man segment right now and I'll cherry pick 2 or 3 good questions. Right, we'll of course start with Babarav Apte because he goes on to say, lads, after you finish this, take my question. Did you guys feel Rohit changed his approach yesterday for whatever balls he played? Because of Gill not being there, asked us yesterday but did not watch. Nix?
Too little time to make anything of it, to be very, very honest. 6 balls and he got it dug. There is hardly anything that you could have said about it. So let's wait. I don't think the approach will change much with Kishan. You expect both of them to just play on the merit of it. So that's where I'll keep it for now. Let's see after the next game against Afghanistan. If we see something different, then definitely yes.
Okay. Akshay, take this one from Nitin Parikh because he goes on to say, please take my comment. Can England bounce back after defeat tomorrow against Bangladesh?
Can they? They definitely can. Will they? That's what we'll have to wait for because Bangladesh, like Nikhil Bhai and Avnish has also mentioned, this is Dharamshala. Pacers will have a lot of purchase. If they are bowling first, this is an early morning start, so you never know. Things can get funny, and yeah, England, this could potentially be a banana skin game for them.
Okay. Finally, Sanjay going on to add to our chat earlier that we had with James at the top of the show about ODI cricket and whatnot. He goes on to say, boys, what do you think about bigger teams sending an A team to tour associate nations, nearby touring country to improve associate nations, like India touring Netherlands, Ireland, and England, and Australia to help Nepal, Afghanistan? Next.
Just start, do it right away. Make it a mandatory thing to go to Ireland if you're playing England. Go there, play 3 T20s, play 3 ODIs, play a test match if you want to. But do that. There is nothing that's stopping you. Rather than playing amongst each other and knowing each other more, go out there and mingle with more people.
Just one thing, I would insert just that one meme जहाँ पे हमारे दिल्ली के चीफ मिनिस्टर साहब अरविंद केजरीवाल जी कहते हैं तो करना बस यही बोलना चाहेंगे. Please do this. 100% agree with this. For the betterment of cricket in general, definitely this would be a move in the right direction. 100% agree.
I said 2 or 3 questions, but naturally, obviously, more will pour in. So really quickly then, boys, what are the alternatives to Dharamshala? I'm sure the ICC have some in mind anyways in case of natural calamity.
Mohali,
I mean, Mohali is there.
Seedha. Yeah, because it's also close by. I mean, close by in the sense not too far, so it becomes logistically a lot more easier for them to make that shift instead of going somewhere down south or east or something. So yeah, Mohali.
Okay. And Noodle Hacks with us and saying, please take my comment on ODI cricket. Where is your comment, Noodle Hacks? I've just lost
He did speak about him fearing, ODI cricket becoming obsolete and only T20s remaining. So that would in turn affect, batters' skill. So people would just focus on blind hitting and all of that. So I remember that, this being the one.
Yeah. But it will never happen. Don't
Yeah.
worry about ODIs go down. ODI gives a lot of countries a lot of breathing space, a lot of cricket. That's the only longer form of cricket that they get to play. So no matter what fancy people will say wearing suits, ODI cricket is not going anywhere.
And it makes you think about the World Cup, which scores in 2027, all the championships in 2025. Vikram, final question is yours. Will Gill be chill after some pills against the Pakis? What singing Dil Dil? I just had to rhyme it. But I'm sure he'll be good because he's definitely missing that game against Afghanistan. But I think he should be back. And no matter what Ishan Kishan does against Afghanistan, let's be honest, guys, Gill will stop that Pakistan game, right?
If he's available, then yeah, of course.
Yeah, Nix.
I'm just busy taking, reading that comment. Please take that comment, which is from Sanjay Papagiri. Please. About किधर गया फिनलैंड वाला. Sorry, I just lost.
वो देखा.
Sorry. It's strange that
I've played it.
Yeah. Sorry, I completely lost myself in this. Sorry.
Yeah, it's insane.
जितना चाहे तुम लोग दे दो गाली, क्या करे अभी छोड़ो.
Let's not slander any IPL team because in the World Cup right now. But look, boys, thank you so much for your time. 31, if you're watching, you guys can jump onto our next live show, which is pretty much in about 10 minutes' time because Netherlands right now are 200 for 8, and we'll of course review that with Somesh and Gurkirat, and I'll be there as well. So lots to, of course, love on cricket.com. Subscribe if you guys are new and like this particular video, because if we get like 50 likes, we'll be absolutely delighted, maybe more, and that'll always be welcome. We've had two fantastic guests, and we've spoken about a lot of things, looking back at week 1 of the World Cup and looking ahead at week 2 of the World Cup as well. So we have time for. Boys, I'll see you guys soon. Nick's always fun chatting with you. And Akshay,
Cheers.
that's all some room service, man. I'm fucking starving. Please, for the love of God, we'll end the show, guys. Thanks for watching.
Get a room. Bye bye.
Yeah, cheers. Bye.